I've spent a lot of time naming my wounds, where they came from, how they shaped me, what they cost me. All that mattered, but there comes a point when naming pain stops being the work. This episode isn't about what I went through, it's about who I refuse to become because of it. Let's talk about it. Welcome to the Scarred Sons podcast, where we dive into scars of life and the outcomes they shape. This podcast is a space for honest conversations about my journey, the lessons learned, the struggles endured, and the growth that followed, geared towards helping other sons with scars. We'll explore topics like personal development, mental and spiritual health, and the path to becoming the best version of yourself. Let's navigate these challenges together, one story at a time. Let's dive in. The views expressed on this podcast are based on my personal experiences and insights. I am not a licensed therapist, counselor, or medical professional, and the content shared is not intended as a substitute for professional advice or guidance. Please consult a qualified professional for advice tailored to your specific needs. I am not responsible for any decisions or outcomes resulting from the use of this content. What's up to all my Scarred Sons out there? I'm your host, Ty. Before we dive in, I want you to know this is a safe space. I'm not here as someone who has it all figured out, just a man willing to speak his truth. And if you carry scars, welcome home. I've talked before about distance, silence, emotional absence, and learning certain behaviors without choosing them. I don't need to relive those thoughts here. I just need to acknowledge that they existed because they shaped the patterns I now have to interrupt. With this pod, we're going to do things a little bit differently. Being that I want to speak more about the man I refuse to become, I want to just give you 5 different scenarios most Scarred Sons refuse to become, mostly myself. So let's start with number 1, a man who becomes emotionally unavailable. This could be like one of my number 1 things to do because I didn't have the emotional relationships with my parents and other relationships in my life. I tend to become emotionally unavailable. I wasn't taught these things. No one gave me a model of them, at least not in the main relationships you have, being a mother and a father. But on this episode, we're turning the corner, so I don't want to continue to name the trauma. Just take it as a reference. The number 1 thing I really am trying my best to refuse to become after going through therapy and learning my traumas and understanding how to move forward would definitely have to be becoming emotionally unavailable. I don't want to repeat that. I want to tap into my emotions, and I want to feel comfortable expressing those emotions when they surface. Number 2, I would have to say, refuse to become a man who leads with anger instead of honesty. Many times when I've led with anger, it was because I was afraid to express myself, afraid to be vulnerable, or really just didn't have a good understanding of what I was being presented or approached with. And my reaction was to go to anger. A lot of this is misplaced anger, might I add as well. It's easy to be in that defense mode, to defend yourself, to explain yourself. But in many times, anger doesn't really help the situation ever. In most cases, for me, when I got frustrated with certain things, I would lash out. Well, first off, I would allow things to boil up so much, which was crazy. I would take so much, not speak, not telling people how I feel. And whomever, when my cup got too filled, like it was about to run over, whomever I encountered on that day got what was for everyone else but them. And that is something I definitely refuse to continue and refuse to become in my later adult male years that I have, is to lead with anger instead of just being honest. Like, hey man, that kind of hurt me. Can you explain? Or hey honey, like I understand you might be frustrated, but can you tell me like what I did to make you frustrated? I no longer want to be misunderstood by my wife, or me misunderstanding her and me just jumping in the car and just darting off. I no longer want to become avoidant of a situation. I'd rather much want to talk it out And I still may need a little time. I'm not all the way there. I still may need a little time to process, but I definitely don't want to lead with the anger. Number 3, I don't want to become a man who avoids responsibility by blaming his past. I've done this for too long. This is why you are hearing me on a podcast. I've said, time and time again, I can't do this because my mom, my dad, this, my uncle, my aunt, this over there, and they didn't teach me and they didn't tell me this and they didn't do this. My wife didn't do that. All of that is avoiding responsibility. At some point, as a man, as a male, at the age of 38, I'm looking at myself crazy. Like, how are you still going to feel like you have the right to blame somebody at 38 years old? And it's not really just an age thing. As you grow, you're supposed to, only one could hope that not only your age is the only thing that's growing or accumulating. Like, you would want to have some wisdom, some knowledge, some areas of skill and expertise that you've worked on, that you've put some effort into, that you've grown into. The last thing that I want to do now at this age is to continue to point the fingers at everyone around me and saying, hey, I'm like this because this is what you did to me. I'm learning to take responsibility and accountability for the things that I can control. The things I can't control, I can't control them. But I will no longer sit up here and say, hey, my dad is the reason why I'm like this. You're going to have to accept it. My mom is the way I'm like this. So that's all I knew. So that's all I'm going to tell you. Nah, we're not doing that no more. I refuse to continue to do that because that's one of the number one things that has held me back, because I'm still stuck in this mode of seeing these triggers and these patterns. Well, my mom didn't do this for me, so why I got to do it for you? Or my dad didn't do this for me, so why I got to do I didn't see nobody doing this, so why I got to do, at some point I want to frame who I need to be individually amongst myself. I don't want to connect it to this person or that person. Now, I can't get away from my genetics. I can't get away from some of my style or personality, but I can groom it to be a different version, an elevated version, or a version that's excelling into a positive flow or path on a journey. I no longer want to shift my responsibility and put it on another name other than my own. Number 4, a man who repeats what he hated because it was familiar. Very easy to do. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some effort, and it's going to take patience of the people around you. So hopefully you got some good people. For me, my wife is amazing, bro. Like, I'm not like, bro, like I have an amazing wife, an amazing support system, all within this one individual. This queen that I have with me is my everything, man. So I hope that you have someone, or you can grow with someone and start something, because we do need someone. Mine just happened to be my wife. I find myself repeating some things I hated that my mother does, my dad does, some things that were done to me. I feel myself repeating or have repeated, and I definitely want to get out of that space. And I feel like some of the things that we'll need and I need is someone to put a mirror up in front of me when these things are happening. For example, if I start flying off the deep end because in my mind you triggered me, and now you're taking me back to the little boy that had a situation, and this is seeming very familiar. The number one thing I do is go back to the kid, because that's where my level was with this scenario. And you're showing me exactly what he saw. And so now what was done in that moment is a lashing out, or it was a pushing you away, or it was to accuse you of doing something, or it was never to see myself. So I need a mirror so I can see me, and I need something to say, hey, you're doing it again. You're going back to the little boy. Let's take a pause, take a breath, do what you need to do, but you're going backwards. My wife has been that. She's been that mirror that she'll put it up in front of me, and she's patient with me, and she'll give me the opportunity to self-correct, and she'll give me some stern words to get me understanding what it is, and then I can slowly snap out of it with the patience that she's given me to overcome. That's very important, man, to be able to not repeat some things. You have to have someone showing you a different route, a different way. My therapist has definitely been beneficial to me for this, because he's actually helped me see. Now, my wife can help me manage through it and flip the switch and stay and hold me accountable. But what my therapist did for me was to be able to show me, or hold my hand and hold my hand as the scarred son I was, back into the little boy that's inside of me, go back with me and hold my hand there and say, hey, you're doing this because this is what's done to you, but this is not the only way. With my therapist, he helped me to identify why these triggers are popping up. Why am I reacting when this thing happens? When I hear a song, I start crying, or when I hear people having a vocal altercation, why I clam up, or why, if my name is yelled and I'm completely off guard, I jump, or certain things will take me back to past traumas. Now that I'm able to identify, why am I doing this? And not only seeing that visual, I have a deeper connection with what my body is experiencing in those moments. So my therapist has educated me and schooled me and patiently walked that path with me for me to understand. And my wife is there to also hold me accountable when these moments arise, to help me turn my behavior around so that I can get to where I need to go and I can help others come with me. But first things first, I have to know how to manage through and be able to consistently do this, to be able to offer help to anybody. So first things first, like they always say, put your mask on first when you're on or give yourself the oxygen first when you're on a plane. You got to put yours on first before you go and help anybody else. So same thing I'm doing here. We're going to wrap up with number 5, a man who never learns how to love safely. This one is a little tricky with where I am currently in my therapy and health journey, right? So if you've been listening, you can go back if you haven't, but I'm in the current stage right now with distance and keeping people at bay, especially people that I feel have done harm to me or the little boy in me. What that's doing for me currently is giving me a sense of protection. It's a guard. It's a wall. It's a way for me to not only protect me, but in a sense, help me transition to the next phase. Now, if I want to stay in this phase forever, then that's a problem. But right now, the sensitivity of who I am and what I'm dealing with, keeping people at bay is kind of the best thing for me in this current phase. Now, what I want to ultimately be able to do is get to a point where I'm able to receive people in, which I do have the ability to, but it's a slow process. And I feel like if you're here with me and you've gone through some things with some relationships in your life, and now you're at the point where you want to just stay back. You just stay over there. Let me figure this thing out. It's just a phase that we're in, and it's fine. It's cool. You just don't want to stay there, right? You just don't want to keep everybody at bay and you not live life and you just go about your day just in a bubble. Now, that's not what we want, but I understand if you're here with me because I'm right here with you. We're going through this phase right now of protection because we've left ourselves open and vulnerable and have gotten hurt from doing so. So now we have to train and be vigilant and be observant to who is coming to us and just proceed with caution. But I don't have to stiff arm you, but I can just say, I can slowly reel you in or allow you to get a little closer, a little closer, a little closer. And I feel like that's the best way to get to being able to openly embrace people. And I don't really feel like it's ever a point where you shouldn't have any type of a buffer or filter. I just think it becomes difficult when you just keep everybody at bay. You can't live life that way. But doing my best to allow people closer that seem to be in line with me currently and progressively. Healing isn't just about understanding why you hurt. It's about deciding what doesn't get to travel forward with you. Some patterns die not because you healed them, but because you refuse to keep feeding them. I can acknowledge what shaped me without letting it define me. Some things end because someone finally noticed them. This is me noticing and choosing differently, even when it's uncomfortable. Actually, especially when it's uncomfortable. I think most scarred sons refuse to become the source of the same confusion, silence, or pain they grew up navigating. Not because they're perfect, but because they're tired of carrying something they didn't choose. Understanding my story gave me context, but refusal, that's where responsibility started. Some things shaped me and some things end with me. That doesn't make me healed. It makes me intentional. If this resonates, sit with it. You don't have to announce who you're becoming. Sometimes the work is simply choosing who you won't be. Peace and love, y'all. Thank you for joining me on the Scarred Sons podcast. Remember, every scar tells a story, and every story has the power to inspire growth. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to reach out and share your journey. Don't forget to stay up to date with the podcast by liking, commenting, and subscribing wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also follow us on Instagram at scarred_sons for more content and updates. Until next time, keep moving forward, keep healing, and remember, scars don't define you, they shape you. Stay strong, and I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.